and welcome to my channel about living in and moving to Denver, Colorado. We're going to be talking about 5 of the top neighborhoods that you should check out if you're a young professional moving to the Denver area. Let's get started. I'm Katie Martineau, also known as the Real Estate Gal. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, welcome. I cover all things about living in the Denver metro area, things to do, places to check out, events to attend. And in saying that, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you get notified every time I release a video, which is twice a week. And as mentioned, my nickname is Katie the Real Estate Gal. If you need help with buying, selling, or anything in between, I'm your gal and would love to help you, so please reach out, call, text, or email, whatever is best for you. Being a young professional myself and having a little bit of experience moving here on my own 5.5 years ago, I wish I did a little bit more research on top neighborhoods to look into for the best experience while I'm here. So I want to be covering 6 top neighborhoods for the best experience as a young professional. I have done a video similar to this before, but we're going to be expanding as well as adding a couple areas to check out. And even though I've talked about the Highlands and Cherry Creek, I have some additional things to check out while you're there. Neighborhood we're going to be talking about is 5 Points. 5 Points is essentially right downtown, and it encompasses a lot of different smaller neighborhoods such as Rhino, the Ballpark District, as well as Curtis Park. Though downtown Denver has changed because of COVID and things have shut down or people are working from home, they're not really active in the downtown scene as much. Curtis Park, Rhino, and then the 5 Points area is still a great place to check out. Rhino is still hustling and bustling, and if you're looking at the downtown Denver map, it is going to be a little bit northeast. So there are some attractions that are always going to bring people to the Denver area, such as Broncos games, Rockies games, which is our baseball team, as well as concert venues. So there's always going to be some sort of activity. So I really think that this is a great spot to be if you are first living here, or if you want to live here long term and if this is the lifestyle that you want. 5 Points covers a lot of different types of housing and environments. So you're going to see a lot of row homes, which are these stacked homes. Some of them have rooftops. You're going to see single family homes, which is going to be a little bit more on the northeast side of 5 Points, as well as apartment complexes. Some are commercial residences that have been flipped and turned into loft style living. And there's also living that's on top of bars and restaurants. So you're really in the heart of the city. 5 Points is extremely walkable. I would argue that you probably don't need a car because there's a lot of different rideshare options, as well as you're making friends. And so if you want to go to the mountains or go on an excursion, you probably have friends that have cars that you can carpool with. Depending where you are, your apartment complex or living complex might have off-street parking as well as parking garage. I don't see too many parking lots, but there is street parking in different areas. Some are metered parking and then some are non-metered parking, where you really just have to move your car once a month for street sweeping. What I like to cover in all of these different neighborhoods is that they are extremely walkable. You don't necessarily need a car, and you're kind of in the middle of everything, of things going on, which is a great place to meet people, expand your network, and really grow some roots and becoming established. And then if this is just a short-term move for you for these specific places, and then you look to settle down a little bit later on, it'll at least get you acclimated with the layout of the city and where you actually want to be. So 5 Points is a really great spot. And some of my favorites are Barcelona Wine Bar. It's a tapas style food, great for sharing. They are specialized in wine. They get super duper busy, so either make a reservation or show up early. You got Cart Driver, which has everything from pizza to oysters, and they do an exceptional job. You have the Ramble Hotel, which is a really great late night spot. They have craft cocktails that are really tasty and very creative, really high ceilings, kind of a darker intimate setting. They also offer food. And then there's Los Chingones, which is a fantastic taco spot where you order single street style tacos. There are pretty sizable actually. They have kind of 3 different areas. They almost have like a dining area on the first floor as well as a bar, and then they also have a rooftop as well when the weather is great, which in Colorado, weather is typically pretty fantastic. If it does rain, it rains for maybe 15-20 minutes, and then you can enjoy the beautiful Colorado weather. A couple late night spots are Luster Pearl, which gets very popular later at night with a DJ, a little bit of dancing. There's Mile High Spirits that also has a DJ, a huge dance floor. There are some recognizable DJs that perform there. One of them was from The Bachelor. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. They also have a really great outdoor area that has cabanas, kind of like a tiki bar. And then they also host events throughout the day and the night. That venue is pretty large. So that's Mile High Spirits. And then some activities to do is there is a venue for axe throwing, which you can have, I believe, a limited amount of drinks, but you get to throw axes at a giant target. It's a really great group activity. And then there's also the Local Drive, which is a golf simulator, and they also have foosball, some other games, a really great bar. Growing up, I only knew the golf simulation that was at, I think it was Dick's Sporting Goods, where you can test out clubs. Or then there's Top Golf, which is way more north. There's one in Thornton. There's also one in Centennial. So the golf simulation is a new concept to me. But I love the idea of mingling, actually doing some physical exercise, a little bit of physical exercise, and then you can incorporate drinks if you want to too. The transportation options in 5 Points are really great. I see a lot of scooters, electric bikes, people walking, and then there is a light rail stop that goes from Union Station, which is a little bit more downtown on the other side of Coors Field, but there is a stop in Rhino, and then it can take you all the way to the airport. And then of course a ton of bus stops that take you all over the city. So transportation wise, 5 Points is a great spot to check out. The next spot to check out is the Highlands. If you don't live in the Highlands, I'd highly recommend you go and check out the Highlands just to explore, try new restaurants and bars. It is poppin', it's always busy. It's one of my favorite places to check out, and one of the cool things is it looks over the downtown Denver skyline. So it lives true to its name, where it's a little bit higher, so it kind of looks down. So that would be the east side of Highlands that hugs the I-25 corridor, and then as you get a little bit more west towards the mountains, you don't get the same views. It kind of levels out. So same trend goes for styles of houses. There are a ton of apartments and condo complexes as well as townhomes that hug that I-25 corridor. So a lot of people are packed into a small area. Again, great for meeting new people and being in the center of everything. And then the more west that you get, the more space that you get to spread out. So there are single family homes and bungalows. They are still pretty close together. You don't have a giant yard. I don't see a ton of full lots that are the 6,250 square feet lots that houses sit on. But nonetheless, if you are living in the Highlands, you probably want to be close to everything. So you're probably more comfortable being a little bit closer to your neighbors. Now, I know I've done several videos on the Highlands, so I'm going to make some mentionables that I have not mentioned in other videos. One of my absolute newest favorite restaurants is Fifth String. It's a new American style restaurant. They have brunch, they have dinner. You can get seated in the bar area, which is that darker, dim lit, romantic kind of vibes. There's candles at the tables. The cocktails, some of the ingredients for pretty much every single cocktail I've never heard of before, and I love that creative style where it's one of a kind and you can't find those ingredients or those things at multiple locations. Their food was absolutely top notch as well. So I would definitely recommend Fifth String for date night. Another place that is just kitty corner from that is called Ashkara. It's a Mediterranean inspired restaurant. So they're gonna have lamb skewers, chicken skewers. One of my favorite dishes was a carrot tartare. So it had a lebna, which is almost like a tofu kind of yogurt spread on the inside of a bowl. And then there was carrots as well as currants, apricots, pine nuts. It was an amazing dish. I would go back just for that. They also have hummus, baba ganoush. The bartending staff is super duper friendly, and they have a little outdoor area too if you want to sit outdoors. Some popular late night spots, as mentioned in previous videos, Avanti and Recess are super popular. There's also a Postino's, which has a really fun board and bottle deal every Monday and Tuesday. For $25, you get a bottle of wine as well as 4 different types of bruschetta. I think they have like 12 different types of fun bruschettas to choose from. A couple other places to mention is the Highland Tappen Burger. They have some really fun burger combinations, and it's a great spot to watch any sporting event because they have 6 to 8 TVs just right above the bar. I tried to go in there when the Nuggets were playing one of their final games for the NBA playoffs, and they were at capacity. They weren't allowing anybody else in. So that place can get pretty popular. There's also BARDO, which is right nearby. They specialize in pizza, and I was there for a dining experience when COVID was huge and we had those dining bubbles that were outside. So it was just essentially 2 to 4 people within one bubble or globe, whatever you want to call it. So that was a really cool experience. And then my final mentionable that you have to check out is My Neighbor Felix. They are right on the border of the I-25 border that separates the Highlands from downtown. They have a ton of tacos, healthy bowls. They have some really fun cocktails. During the winter months, they turn it into kind of a nutcracker themed Christmas pop-up bar with tinsel hanging from the ceiling, all sorts of little nutcrackers and ornaments around, and then some really fun inspired drinks. They also have an outdoor patio as well with fire pit tables, and I went there with a group of, I think it was 8 to 10 people, and we all just huddled around the fire. It was super nice to just chill and relax at My Neighbor Felix. In terms of transportation and parking, so parking can be a little bit scarce just because there is a higher density of people in such a small space. So you might have to drive around a little bit, or if you have an apartment or a condo, you might have underground parking or a parking garage included with your residence. There are bus stops all over, or you can even walk downtown. So if you're working in downtown Denver, there is a couple different bridges that you can cross in order to get to those locations. There's also a bunch of parks. There are dog parks as well as parks just to kind of spread out. And one huge highlight that I like about the Highlands is that you are on the west side of I-25. So if you do like to go to the mountains, you're gonna be able to avoid a little bit of the traffic to wiggle through downtown. Let's just say that 5 Points might have as a restriction. So you may have just shaved 10 or 15 minutes off of your drive if you are going to the mountains because you're already closer. The third neighborhood to check out, or to check out if you're just visiting, because there's a really great bar scene, is South Broadway or along South Broadway. This isn't necessarily a neighborhood, but there are a ton of things that always happen on South Broadway that you're going to be in a great position to get out and explore. So if you're coming from downtown Denver, you go straight down Broadway. So there's Broadway and South Broadway. Honestly, it kind of just meshes together. There's some really great bars and restaurants, vintage shops, boutique shops. You have gas stations, some grocery stores. There's a Safeway, as well as Walgreens, Goodwill. It's a really great spot to bar hop because everything is essentially along one line. I used to be part of a CrossFit group that was close to South Broadway, so we would always start at Historians, which has a really great rooftop that you can overlook Broadway as well as see the mountain lines. And then we would pop over to Irish Rover, which is an Irish pub kind of style restaurant. They have Taco Tuesdays. I think the tacos are like $1 a piece. They also have a rooftop, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, they have a DJ and kind of turn it into a nightclub on the first floor. And then after Irish Rover, we would pop over to CANOPY, which is also called the Blackout Vortex because we would just dance the night away in their cool space that they have. They get super busy. They have pool tables, so when it's not busy, you can play pool, or else they have a DJ and a pretty good layout for mingling and chatting with people. And if you're not into just drinks, there's also Punch Bowl Social, which is right across the street. They have a ton of different games such as bocce ball, bowling, darts, some arcade games. They have a really large venue, or it's large for the area that it's at. There are larger ones like PINDUSTRY is super fun. That one is located in Littleton. They have all of that plus more, and they have a rooftop at PINDUSTRY. So check out PINDUSTRY if you've been to Punch Bowl Social and you want kind of a different change of scenery. And of course, some restaurant mentionables. Can't go without mentioning some restaurants. You have the Sweet Action Ice Cream Spot. They always have some vegan flavors and sorbet flavors. Everything there is homemade, and they let you sample, which is like one of my favorite things. things. I just tried Go Fish for the first time. That is a sushi spot right on a corner near Goodwill, and their sushi was actually very surprisingly good. You have ADRIFT cocktail bar that has kind of Hawaiian inspired food, as well as their cocktails are fantastic. They also had a pop-up during the winter months and had holiday inspired cocktails. For some reason during the holidays I crave an eggnog style fun cocktail, and so they delivered perfectly. One of my favorite coffee shops to work out of because they're open super duper late is BARDO. That is also on South Broadway. So you can get a coffee, you get a little Wi-Fi code, and then just work the day away. And I believe they're open until 10 or 11. So if you're a night owl, that is a perfect spot to work late. One other mentionable is the Wizard's Chest, which is a really cool spot if you are looking for a Halloween costume or if you're decking out for a pub crawl. Denver is super big in pub crawls. Before COVID, they were having pub crawls. It felt like every other weekend. If you see people walking around in onesies, you know that there's probably a onesie bar crawl that's happening or a Santa bar crawl. But anyway, if you're decking out in whatever, the Wizard's Chest is a really great spot. They have prosthetics, they have a ton of makeup, costumes, games, and the outside of the building looks super cool. It's a castle with the little peaks and flags. I love supporting local, so instead of going to a Party City or maybe a Target, check out the Wizard's Chest. I'm pretty sure it's the only one of its kind. Now, the type of housing that's around South Broadway, which is pretty self-explanatory, is you're going to find apartment buildings that are on top of bars and restaurants. You're also going to find some single-family homes the further away that you get. Now, if you're going to the Baker neighborhood, you're going to find some really historic buildings that are Victorian era. They are beautiful, and they're going to have characteristics to them that are squeaky floors, probably bad heating, maybe no AC, but to be within walking distance to South Broadway, I think you'll be just fine in the Baker neighborhood. And then on the other side, they're not as historic homes, I'd say, but still small lots just like Baker. Maybe some duplexes where you live on the top and someone else lives on the bottom, or there might be some side-by-sides that you'll find. But anywhere along South Broadway, you're going to be finding out if you like that lifestyle with a little bit more of relaxed vibes. Location number 4 is Uptown. Uptown is pretty much directly east of Denver. If you find any single family homes, they are far and few between. There are a ton of apartment complexes as well as condos. It is going to be more densely populated. The nice thing is it is next to St. Joseph's Hospital if you reside there or work there, I should say. It is within walking distance to downtown Denver. I see a lot of scooters and bikes as well as cars. I feel like there's a bit more parking here, but you probably will have to circle the block a couple times during the busy times. If you are just visiting Denver, I think that Uptown is a great spot to check out if you are looking for an Airbnb short-term rental, because you're going to be able to get a feel of the city. There are a lot of intimate performance venues, including Avenue Theater for comedy and improv. There's the FILLMORE Auditorium, which is from 1907. It is a concert hall. And then quite noticeably in the skyline, you have the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception, and they also host classical concerts. There is a Safeway grocery store right nearby, as well as a ton of different bars and restaurants that you have to check out, such as Steuben's, which has kind of an Asian flair to their food. They also have ping pong tables, which I don't think I've ever been to a bar that has ping pong before. And then one of my favorite places is called Frozen Matter, or I guess you could call it Retrograde. So it is a speakeasy that's in the heart of Uptown. So when you walk in, it is a legit ice cream spot, kind of like Little Man or Sweet Action, and you can order by the scoop in homemade waffle cones, which is always my favorite thing. But they also have this giant freezer door that's in the back, and if you don't know that it's already a speakeasy, you wouldn't figure it out just by the ambiance of walking in the ice cream shop. So you go over to the freezer door, you flip a light switch, and then somebody will come out, they'll check your ID and let you know how much time you have to wait. Like, how cool is that? So when we arrived, they checked our ID, and then when they were ready to seat us in this speakeasy that is through the freezer door, you walk through the freezer door, and then it's not an actual functioning freezer. But then there's a red velvet curtain, and then when you walk through that, they shake their hand and they say, "Hi, Caitlin, it was nice to meet you." And it's like, wait, how do they know my name? It's because they remember it from the driver's license. That kind of blew my mind. And the amount of people that can sit inside the bar is probably about 30 to 40 people. There's a little bit of bar seating, and then there's these smaller intimate tables that go around the outside. It has a 70s vibe to it, hence the name Retrograde. And then they have beautifully crafted cocktails. So I made it a point to try to go to all the speakeasies in the Denver metro area. So if you want a list of those, please reach out to me, because for some reason it just makes me so excited to talk about speakeasies. In some of my previous videos, I mentioned that there are actually more dogs than there are children in the state of Colorado. I believe it's 144,000 dogs versus 120 some thousand kids. It kind of blows my mind. In saying that, it's great that there are some parks within walking distance to the Uptown area, like the Benedict Foundation Park. It's not a dog park, so it's not like an off-leash dog park, but at least you have some grass to walk around or just lay down and hang out. Whoever designed this area of Uptown was thoughtful in putting the poop bags out and putting small grass patches so animals have a place to go. Last but not least, we have Sloan's Lake is a great place for a young professional to check out. This is on the west side of I-25. It is almost directly west, a little bit southwest of downtown Denver. This is over near where I live, so I know it pretty dang well. So Sloan's Lake is a giant lake that, if you look at a map, it kind of looks like one of the Muppets characters, and is super popular in the summer and great for springtime and fall to walk around the lake or to utilize the grass areas to do sporting games such as basketball, flag football. I see yoga in the park all the time, and then people biking, walking, and rollerblading around the lake. Great exercise. You get the most beautiful view of downtown Denver on one side, and then if you turn around, you have the gorgeous mountainscape in the background. So a really great lake to check out. There are no motorized vehicles on the lake, but they do paddle boarding. I don't think that there is swimming, but you can do kayaking, rowboats. There are quite a few bus stops that are located around Sloan's Lake, and then there's a ton of stuff to do in terms of bars and restaurants. So you have the EDGEWATER Public Market, which is a collective eatery. If you are with a group of people and you can't decide what type of cuisine you'd like to do, a collective eatery is always super great. So you have Stanley Marketplace that's in Lowry. You have a couple places that are downtown like Milk Market or McGregor Square. Sloan's Lake has one called EDGEWATER Public Market. So you can get tacos, empanadas. There's a sausage joint, mac and cheese. They have an Australian ice cream station, pizza. There's a bar with cocktails. There's a brewery there as well. Really will cater to any type of preference. There's also movies in the park that is right next to the Syrup breakfast joint. They also have a Shake Shack. Plenty of parking that you don't have to pay for, which is always so nice. And then right across the way, there is a Target, a King Soopers for grocery shopping. You have JOYRIDE Brewing, which is on the other side. They have beers and cider. There's also another area of Sloan's Lake that is new and up and coming. They're still building over in that area, and it actually borders the lake on the south side instead of EDGEWATER Public Market, which is on the west side. And so where Sloan's Lake Tap and Burger is, there's also an Alamo Draft House. So Sloan's Lake Tap and Burger, it is a chain, but they rename them based off of their locations. So there's a Highland Tap and Burger, Sloan's Lake Tap and Burger, and I think there's a couple others that are around. Those are really great spots to check out any sporting events because their bar is surrounded by different TVs, and they do have a little bit of an outdoor patio area. There are a bunch of apartment complexes there. Parking is a little bit of an issue if you are coming to visit, but a lot of the residents that stay in those apartments or own those condos have parking included with ramps that go underground. And then there's also, like I mentioned, the Alamo Draft House, which is a really cool movie theater. The seats are super duper comfy. They aren't the recliner seats, but they're really squishy, and you share a table with the person next to you, and you can order food and people will actually bring it to you. That's a newer concept to me, so I'm obviously very amused by it.
Jeez, this movie sucks.
No, it's terrible. Excuse me, who had the stroganoff with the roasted potatoes?
Right here.
So you can order drinks as well as food while the movie is going, and they'll keep bringing you things. They have unlimited popcorn, they have pizza, burgers, sandwiches, some snacky stuff, and then the workers are super sly in trying to slip through the different people into getting you your food without being disruptive to the movie. So that south kind of area of Sloan's Lake is really up and coming. You're going to find a ton of row homes that are stacked on top of each other, and you're going to share one or both walls with the person that's next to you. But a perk of Sloan's Lake is there's a lot of new builds that are there, and they are building in the rooftop decks so you can hang out, grill, look at the beautiful skyline, watch the sunset or the sunrise, depending if you're an early morning riser or not. And then you are going to find those kind of older single family homes or duplexes and quadplexes that are all in a row but may have been built in the 40s or even earlier. Then it's far and few between. There are some homes that border Sloan's Lake that are immaculate, beautiful, very large homes, well over $1 million price point, because they have great access to the water and great views without having a neighbor in their front yard. So it depends what area of Sloan's Lake you'd be looking at for different styles of homes. The nice thing, as mentioned earlier, is you're on the west side of 25, and so to get to the mountains is going to be the easiest thing. Or to get downtown is really great too. Depending on where you are for Sloan's Lake, there are some areas where if you own or rent in that area, you will get a parking pass because of the vicinity that you are to Empower Field, which is where the Broncos play. So there is a free parking for people at certain times of the day, or a pass is required on days such as Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday. There are some really large events that happen at Empower Field on off days or in the off season from when the Broncos play. So just pay attention to parking signs, whether you can park on the street during certain times. There might be street sweeping or that permit requirement. One more notable for Sloan's Lake, which is one that I really enjoy, are the bazaar events. It's events that'll happen every other weekend or at least once a month, and they close off the streets to have local vendors come in. There was a local honey company, lot of artisans and jewelers, homemade dog treats. They'll serve beer and wine and cocktails in cans. A lot of fun, and local small businesses will have booths at those. So watch out for the bazaar events. They're not just in the Sloan's Lake area. During the winter time, when crafts are in abundance because they make really great gifts, they are in a bunch of different other pop-up locations, such as Zeppelin Station in Rhino. There is a venue in Lakewood that has different pop-ups throughout the year. They'll have a Valentine's Day one, as well as Christmas themed, or holiday themed, I should say. So getting involved with the community and having those events that can support small businesses is a really great reason to move to the Sloan's Lake area. Now, it goes without saying, if you are looking to buy or sell your home in any of these locations, or Denver Metro, or really Colorado, I would be honored to earn your business. So please reach out with my contact information below. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button and notification bell about all things in Colorado, Denver Metro area, events and neighborhoods, please hit that subscribe button so that you get notified every time I release a video, which is twice a week. Let me know how I can help, and we'll see you in the next video.